Okay, welcome to the webinar. It's great to have you all here on the VIP Influential Webinar Series. My name is Sunil Bhaskar, and I'll be presenting this webinar. And along with my business partner, Bill Bellew, we lead this influential webinar series. And today's topic is on conquering marketing overwhelm. And again, it's great to have you all here. And I'm looking forward to sharing this information with you. So a couple of things before we start. I just want to make sure that you get the best viewing pleasure, but also this is part of your training, is to really eliminate distractions and focus. So my invitation to you right now is to turn off anything that's operating in the background. If you're in the car, I would advise rolling up the windows or keeping it as quiet and distraction-free as possible. If you're in your office or by your computer, I would invite you to turn off your Skype, your email, iTunes, or any other programs that may be running in the background. This is really your time, and I invite you to have the time right now. You want to silence your phone, close the door, give yourself the gift of time to discover some secrets and insights that could make a real profound difference for you. And for that, I'm inviting you, in fact, almost requesting that you do that so that you reduce the distractions so you can focus on what you need to get from this webinar. All right, a couple of things about me and Bill, and then we'll get into more content here. My name, like I said, is Sunil Bhaskaran. My first name spelled backward is Linus, but don't call me Linus backwards. It brings back a lot of bad memories for me. Sunil is fine. I graduated from UC Irvine, University of California, Irvine, many years ago with a double degree in electrical engineering, computer science. I'm a business owner and mentor since 1991. Been a trusted mentor for thousands of entrepreneurs through my speaking, workshops, coaching, and my books. My radio personality. I was in the radio for quite a while. Published an author of 2 books, including one called More Money, More Time, Less Stress. And I've been on the board of advisor of 2 Bay Area companies here for quite a while. My primary skills and contributions to my clients and the people I work with are in addressing that strategy, helping them create really good strategy and plans that work, that are realistic, that are workable based on people's personalities, the personality of the company, etc. I provide a lot of expert dialogue and listening. My skill is in listening to people and helping them really solve and put together the jigsaw pieces that may be missing or they can't figure out in terms of their strategy, their approach to their business and their life. I also specialize in creating marketing systems that help you convert people who come to you into clients and customers, paying customers preferably, and helping you communicate in clear, powerful messages, both in your marketing as well as to your team, that elicits the best in other people. And, I can't help overemphasizing, but this is really important. It's really coming from integrity and consistency in what we do. So everything I teach you today, I actually practice. This is some things that I do on a day-to-day basis. Okay, a little bit about Bill Bellew, who may actually be on this call listening in. Hi, Bill. I hope you're doing well. And Bill is an international speaker. He's spoken in China, to Google. He's an expert on social media and content marketing. He has a PhD in education and a master's in creative writing. He's an author of 5 books, and his website enjoys 90 million hits. He's certainly a person you want to engage with and try to learn as much as I do from him. Chief skills and contributions: how to attract lots of very good prospects to your site, not just like prospects, but good prospects. An analysis of your website efficiency brings, again, a lot of integrity and discipline. Is why I like really working with Bill. Recent breakthroughs, and I'm sharing this again. Everything I share here is designed to tell you not just about our credibility, but more importantly, the lessons that we have learned, and also to demonstrate powerfully to you that these things that I'm sharing with you actually work. They produce results. We see them consistently. They're not results we've had many years ago. These are results that we consistently get. And one of the latest results, those of you who are following in and have seen our previous webinars will notice some of the improvements and changes here. We now have a crew of bloggers that we are coaching who have surpassed 1 million views collectively. There are less than 10 of these who are working with us, and it's quite a significant result to create. Those of you who are bloggers and content creators out there. Bill is currently number 6 in the US on a very popular news site as a contributing editor. We cannot reveal the name of the new site yet because we are in the process of actually creating a potential joint venture deal with them. Um, a French technical group sponsored by the French government wants to work and actually is starting to work with us. Our meetups have grown consistently every month. We're growing at about 750 people per month on an average. We now have about 19,100, probably more than that. Bill hasn't given me the recent update, but I'm pretty sure we're more than that. And there are other results in here as well that I want to share. But the main thing is really I want to demonstrate to you that these techniques that I'm giving you are going to actually really work for you. That's the important thing to get from this point. I want to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm going to invite you to really. And these questions are designed to help you start thinking about how you can apply this webinar and what I'm sharing with you to your own life. So does this sound like you? Is this something that you say? I do not have a fully functioning sales funnel or system that keeps feeding my business the right kind of customers. Tell me, are you tired of going through the ups and downs of success in your marketing? Is it difficult or challenging to keep up your energy in business, marketing, or sales? Are you disenchanted with the results you're currently having in terms of sales and conversions? Have you been in business for a while, but the business marketing and sales is just not quite where it could be or where it should be based on your expectations? Are you happy with the profits and your results and the time that you're spending getting those profits and results? Are you getting burnt out, not excited about the systems of marketing you have right now? It's pretty normal. A lot of people do from time to time. Even I do, but I confront it quite head on. And I'm going to invite you to look at that, how to address that if the systems are not exciting you right now in your business and your marketing. You have a system that is capturing your leads coming to you online efficiently. So the question is, what has stopped you? What are some of the obstacles or challenges that you've had inside of Overwhelm? What are the more specifics that you've had? What are the specific challenges that have stopped you? For your business, do you want this year to be better than last year or more of the same? And do you want the things that really matter to you, like your family, your personal time, your dreams being fulfilled, something bigger for you that you really like to go for? And today, you're in the right place in this webinar if you want to create a sustainable and proven business that more than validates your services, products, leadership, and abilities. We just don't work with everybody. We work with people who are really committed to creating something really solid, a legacy for their future and for their children, perhaps even if they have children. So you're looking at creating a sustainable, proven business. You're certainly in the right place. You're in the right place today if you're spending too much time spinning your wheels in marketing and business that doesn't provide anything, doesn't feed you, doesn't give you the excitement and joy that you want. In the right place, certainly if you wish to sell more with a system that works for you without the hype and without trying to over manipulate people, all that's very unnecessary. If you have the right system in place that will help you reduce your overwhelm, sell more, have more joy in selling. You don't have to necessarily sell to everyone, but you want to sell to the right people. That's the important thing to understand. And if you sell to the right people, your overwhelm will go down, your focus will go up, and your joy will go up as well. You're in the right place today if you're sick and tired of the overwhelm. If you're not sick and tired of the overwhelm, you may not be in the right place because, it takes a little bit of being fed up with being overwhelmed in order to move out of overwhelm. Because overwhelm is really a result of habits. If you are habituated to putting up or tolerating overwhelm, you probably will tolerate and keep tolerating it for a while. So the first step is really to say, well, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm ready to move to something else. You're in the right place today if you're new to business and wish to make a solid, successful launch. What I tell people who are starting on business, you cannot avoid the unavoidable mistakes. You can't predict everything, you can't guarantee success. But there's certain avoidable mistakes that you must avoid. And I'm going to share some of those with you today. You're in the right place if you want a highly engaged and inspired audience who buys. Again, without having to manipulate people. If you find the right people who will work with you, enjoy working with you, and it's way better than just trying to reach out to everybody. You're in the right place today if you wish for more satisfying results and a lifestyle that reflects that. Not really emphasizing all of this, because if you have the right reasons to move out of overwhelm, you probably will. I'm going to repeat that for the hard of hearing. If you find the right and good enough reasons to move out of overwhelm, you probably will. if you do not have the compelling reasons to move out of overwhelm, well, you're probably going to march instead. So there are a couple of things that people have shared with me in preparation for this webinar. I've gotten a couple of emails from people. And the reality is that there are about three real fears. There usually is the magic number three, the three main fears, concerns that people have. And really, they are fears or concerns. The first is that my marketing will fail. And rational or not, that is a fear that's there. And I understand that because I've had that in the past as well. So I understand how that feels. My customers will say no is the second fear of rejection. That's very much intertwined sometimes with overwhelm because people have so much attention on saying the right thing sometimes or over preparing or becoming perfectionists in your approach to marketing that it becomes really overwhelming. So I understand that. The third fear is I will burn myself out or stay where I'm at. And this is pretty much across the board what I'm hearing from a lot of my audience. So we're going to start addressing some of these fears and give you tools to help you assuage or reduce some of these fears today. And the question for you is, what about you? What are some of the concerns you have? What are the challenges that are stumbling blocks for you? Where do you like to go? What would you like to see happen for yourself and your business, for your family in the next 1 year, the next 5 years? What will life and your business look like? And for today, there are three things we're going to cover. First is 2 blind spots you must become aware of to prevent overwhelm. It starts with the awareness. If you have the awareness, then you can start building from there. But awareness is insufficient. You'll have to start creating new practices. So we're also going to provide 2 practices to take on today that will resolve your to-do list probably a lot faster than most other tools out there. Because I've been in the coaching industry for about 25 years now. I've seen a lot of stuff out there. It's really good stuff out there, but not stuff that's based on your biology and your brain science. And it's concrete brain science I'm talking about. So I'm going to share 2 practices based on that are really biologically designed to work. The third thing we're going to cover today is the number 1 foundation to build for greater enthusiasm, power, and productivity in your business. Something I learned from my mentor, served me very well, served a lot of clients in the past, and will in the future. There's a special offer gift at the end of the webinar. And for those of you who have been in my previous webinars, you kind of know what this is, but this is a gift that's going to tie it up very nicely for you. And it is a gift to you. And so you want to stay to the end of the webinar to get and find out what that gift is. Now, I shared a couple of breakthroughs earlier, but I promise you, those are not all great. And again, I'm sharing this with you because I'm going to share a lot of technical stuff with you today that are going to help you get to where you want to go. But you also want to imbibe and internalize some of the experience I've had, because the experience is where you're going to learn a lot more. You learn by experience. That's actually a lot more valuable. Something I learned from my coach. I spent a lot of time working one-on-one with him when I first started in 1991, my first mentor. It was his experience, watching him actually apply his experience and his understanding that really gave me a deeper understanding of business. So when I first started out in 1991, I didn't understand marketing and strategy or the mindset required to get me to the next level. I didn't have any hot prospects banging down my door to get to me, I promise you. I know some of you are experiencing similar issues. There was a lot of overwhelm, a lot of unnecessary overwhelm, I should say. Things that I was focusing on that didn't make any sense, wasn't feeding me. I felt like I was burning out. I could not figure out how to make myself more visible to my market, and I felt really stuck. So in hiring my first mentor, coach back then, one of the first breakthroughs was in strategizing to get a pipeline, a systematized pipeline that would feed me hot prospects. It's something that you want to start considering. If you don't have one right now, you want to start looking at how you can create one so you can get out of your overwhelm and spend time on the more joyful aspects of your business. I also learned how to craft what to say, so I felt good saying it about my business. It was honest and it was effective. I learned to fashion a good narrative or story for people to not only understand, but to internalize and feel good and strong about hiring me. And there's a lot of integrity that I brought to this. And integrity is a word that's bandied about by a lot of people, but for me, integrity is making sure that things are consistent, that it makes sense, that there's nothing missing in the presentation. Doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. Integrity just means that you have to, as much as possible, strive to having things complete and consistent. I also learned to generate structures and systems that help to eliminate a lot of the overwhelm. There are two things you want to focus on. One is creating a systematized pipeline that feeds you prospects without having to overwork yourself. Also having a system to convert the people coming in into paying customers. If you don't have clearly defined systems, if you can't draw that diagram, you can't draw a diagram to express what that system looks like, then you probably don't have one. Or if you have one, then it's not really working as effectively as you could. Also generated practices to reduce overwhelm. I'm going to share some of those with you today. The most important lesson really is in the art and science of creating what I call flow. Flow is where things are just working at a sweet spot, or close enough to what I call a sweet spot of performance. It's outside of the domain of anxiety, and it's outside of the domain of boredom. It's in a different quadrant, you could say. The quadrant is where you have a sweet spot where your challenge and your skill are more or less meeting each other. And so you're neither bored nor are you anxious. You're really, and it's not like life is perfect and you have no problems at all. In fact, you have problems, but your capacity to handle those problems is pretty good. And you move through those problems and you learn pretty quickly. And you learn the joy of having lessons that come to you. If you can reframe, I just had a client who had what to him was a major breakdown yesterday or the day before. And in about 15 minutes of conversation, I helped him reframe how he thought about that breakdown in terms of a lesson. And now it became an opportunity to create more flow or a pathway to getting him to the next level of his leadership in his company and his business. And that's very important to learn. If you learn and you appreciate that you can do short-term suffering, what I call short-term suffering is the period where you're learning a lot and you're willing to go through the challenges. You don't give up right away. If you're giving up right away, if you're of that ilk and that material, then you're probably not going to make it in business. And I'm being very perhaps brutal here in this assessment, but I'll probably save you a lot of time and energy and money. If you're looking to start a business and you want to avoid challenges, then you're probably not going to become a very good business person. But if you want to create flow and excitement and joy, what I call long-term joy, then you got to be willing to go through the short-term suffering. This is a picture of me, those of you on the computer, in Maui. In 1996, I have a huge breakthrough in my finances and my business. And my business partner and I had sold the company. We made a lot of money. I initially was going to take 3 months off. I ended up taking a year and a half off. I traveled quite a bit. There's a photograph of me in Maui. I was initially going to be there for 1 week. I think I ended up there for about 3 weeks or probably a little longer. But this is the kind of reward that you can have once you understand the joy of addressing your ability to focus and only work on problems and decisions and projects that are going to feed you rather than starve you. I hope that makes sense or begins to make sense for you. There are a couple of testimonials. Again, as I share these testimonials, I want you to pay attention to the lessons, because the lessons and the experience is actually way more valuable than the technical stuff I'm going to share with you very shortly here. So this is Archana Sudami, who started working with me a while back. She has a business that serves people who parents and children who want to send their children to colleges, good college, Ivy League colleges. And I worked with her, and what the main thing I helped her do was to create the right offers for her target markets. We identified, I believe, 3 target markets, and then started focusing on those target markets. It reduced her overwhelm and the amount of time spent at work considerably. And she also never spent a dime on expensive advertising at all. She did it through partly through outreach, but in a very focused manner. Her sales cycles went down. They weren't long and laborious anymore. And she started creating the right flow. So the lesson here is a little bit of planning, a little bit of strategizing up front is probably going to save you a lot of time and energy and headache in the future and create that right flow, like I shared earlier. Eric Hess and Sadie Hess, husband and wife team, they have a company called Compass LLC. It's still around. It's still growing. In fact, it's growing probably more so than it has in the past. They had a 150% increase in size when they worked with me. The lesson from them that they keep emphasizing whenever we talk is how they were struggling initially, and life in business wasn't that much fun because their vision and their goals were not aligned. They had a vision that was pretty clear, at least clear to themselves. It wasn't advertised, but it was clear to themselves. But their outward goals were not aligned with those visions. So they had a vision that's very spiritual in nature for themselves, but their goals were not quite aligned with it. Once they got their goals aligned with their vision, everything started moving. There was a lot more excitement, and the activity and the ability and the willingness to work hard came out. Most people, I feel, are willing to work hard. They just don't have a good enough reason to do so. So they start doing a lot of stuff to appear to be busy so they can assuage their guilt rather than focus on the things that are going to be joyful, that puts joy in your heart, that puts a spring in your step that's natural and enthusiasm. You don't have to fake it till you make it. You can actually create it and make it happen right away. It's a big lesson Eric and Sadie certainly learned. Charlotte Jacobs, another client of mine, again, the lesson with her, when she first came to me, she was struggling very much. But when I looked underneath all the facts that she told me, it was about a 20-minute first conversation, I saw that she had a lot going for her that she wasn't tapping into. And this happens for a lot of clients to come to me. It's the blind spots. Sometimes blind spots can be bad. Sometimes blind spots can be good. They can be huge opportunities, low-hanging fruits that you have to just take advantage of. And I saw these for her, and I very confidently looked at her and I said, listen, in 90 days, I can help you more than triple your income. And I kept my word in it. And she's continued to be successful. Today, she's a multi-million-dollar author and trainer. She trains coaches and healers. And she applies a lot of what I teach her and I've taught her. And the lesson for her was to cut down objectives. Sometimes less is more. If you have fewer objectives, fewer projects, fewer target markets, then you can get more accuracy, you can get better quality projects, better quality product, better quality results. It creates a right flow, and I can't help but keep overemphasizing that. Now, flow can be expressed as a measure in your bank account, but it can also be measured in your calendar. Now, when I look at people's calendar, I can, within a minute or so, or probably less, gauge what level of flow or anxiety or boredom exists in their life. And so for those of you on the computer, you can see this is an actual calendar of mine. I've changed some of it because I wanted to protect the identity of my clients, but it's more or less, it's accurate in terms of the time. You'll notice that there's about 20 to 30 hours of free time. And each time block has a clear intention behind it. And there are no double bookings. In fact, when you look at it, it's fairly easy on the eye. For some people, when I look at their calendars, I myself want to just do something drastic to myself and take myself away from the situation. But it's very stressful to look at their calendar. So the calendar, when you have it flowing like this with some blank spaces, that expresses true freedom. A lot of people talk about freedom, but the real measure could be in your calendar. And so you want to start thinking about, how can I create a calendar that works for me, that expresses flow and joy? See, and the important thing is how you use your time when it comes to creating flow. And the reason I'm saying all this is because those of you who are really experiencing a lot of overwhelm, what I assert is you haven't really created a strong, compelling future yet. Something that's compelling enough in your future to have you go, you know what? This is crazy what I'm doing. All my practices, all my systems that don't work for me, I need to change them starting today. And if I don't, I'm wasting my time. So you got to get to that point where you get dissatisfaction with your present because your future is so compelling. It's compelling enough to drive you forward. And if you don't have that compelling future, it's very difficult to really move forward. See, with this compelling future, I don't need to listen to Tony Robbins every day. I mean, you know, Tony's a great guy, but I don't need to listen to his motivational tapes. I don't need to go watch TED Talks to feel good. And those of you who do it, hey, power to you. I think that's great. You should keep doing it. But I don't need to, because I look at my future and I look at what's driving me. I look at the things that excite me about my friends, the time that I can spend in the future as well in the present. And I go, wow, you know what? I'm willing to work hard and focus on a few things and do the kind of thinking, which can be hard, to identify priorities and get rid of everything else. And you see, once you start thinking like that, then you're shifting towards flow based thinking and away from what everybody else does. If you want to join the elite few who really truly enjoy themselves, have remarkable, extraordinary lives, then you got to start shifting the thinking. So the question for you is, what will your greatest relevant breakthrough be to really cause the case for you to take on these practices so that you can go on and really eradicate your overwhelm? You got to create a powerful enough future for yourself. And you see, that's what causes bravery, courage, is when you have a future that's worth living into. My father fought in World War II. He passed away a few years ago. But he used to tell me, listen, when he was young, he never really thought much about putting his life at stake until he heard someone speak who was an Indian leader. His name was Netaji. And Netaji started the Indian Nationalist Army, who was fighting for independence from the British. So, he joined the army, and he saw something that was worth fighting for. And he said that changed his life. It wasn't about the violence. It wasn't about anything else. It wasn't about trying to be a false hero. And he became a hero. He was really an extraordinary human being, taught me a lot in my life. And, I'm getting moved as I talk about my father. But, that's what's extraordinary. And so I share this not because I want to while away the hours. Bill and I share this because we want something extraordinary for you. And so I hope that you take this to heart and that you look at what's your greatest relevant breakthrough going to be for you. What's important for you in your life? So there are two blind spots that you want to start becoming aware of to prevent overwhelm and create the future that you want to live into. And you see, again, before I get into this, I want you to really put the context behind why you want to apply these principles that I'm sharing with you. You got to have a big enough future. But first, I want to talk to you about becoming more aware of how your brain works. And I'm not going to bore you with biological details, but I'm going to share a little bit with you that's going to expose you to some things that probably haven't heard before. These are pretty new facts that have come out in the last 8 years or so. But one biological fact is that we just aren't that efficient in our brains. So the part of our brain that's responsible for most day-to-day work is our prefrontal cortex. It's a part of our brain that exists just right above our nose, right behind our forehead. This part of the brain is responsible for most day-to-day work. Unfortunately, it's not a very efficient part of the brain. Every time you make a decision, your blood glucose level drops. This is a scientific fact. Every time you switch from one task to another, your blood glucose level drops. Not a problem in the minute quantities, but taken collectively becomes a problem because scientists believe what happens is your brain thinks you're going into a survival situation, running away from some wild animal that's chasing after you, perhaps, and it starts shutting down your prefrontal cortex because it doesn't want it to take up too much brain power or energy. So what happens then? Well, if you can't make good decisions now because your prefrontal cortex is shut down, then you start making bad decisions. And you also are unable or less able to withstand impulses. So if you're dieting, for example, and you're doing too much stuff, well, that's not going to probably ruin your diet because your impulses to reach for that chocolate or that really fatty, tasty food, your ability to control that impulse will go down. So your ability to withstand distractions also goes down. So you can see this downward spiral, right? So that's one factoid I want to give to you. You want to internalize that. You got to understand your limitations in order to supersede them. Second biological fact, it's a blind spot, is setting up unrealistic expectations leads to you fighting your biology rather than working with it. In your brain, there exists a wonderful chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is a reward chemical. You feel good when you see yourself on track towards something. The problem with dopamine is when you set up unrealistic expectations and you fail to meet them, which is what most people do, your dopamine levels go down. So your motivation, your confidence goes down along with that. Guess what happens when you set up realistic expectations and you meet them? Even if they're what I call silly, stupid expectations, they're very easy to attain. Even if you attain them, or as you attain them, your dopamine levels go up. Now your biology is working with you instead of against you. So this begins to create, I hope for you, a very clear picture of why you're overwhelmed and what you got to do to get out of that overwhelm. You can't keep doing the same stuff or putting too many unrealistic expectations or trying to do too many things. It doesn't make any sense anymore. So there are two practices to take on. I'm going to give you a bonus practice as well, since you're also quietly listening here. The first practice is what we call the rule of four. I practice this, so do my clients. It's a very simple practice. Every day you pick a maximum of 4 high priority objectives to focus on. I'll repeat it again for the hard of hearing. You want to do your best to pick 4, maximum 4. What we found is 4 is a pretty good number. We've studied our clients for a year. We found that 4 is a pretty good number to focus on. Anything more, statistically speaking, you're probably not going to get much done. And you're probably going to be disappointed. If you do 4 or less, in fact, if you do 1 or 2, you're more likely to have a really great day. And you'll probably have a dopamine burst and probably get way more done. But if you set your expectations up right, and you set your day up right to focus your energy, limited brain bandwidth on the maximum of 4, you're more likely to get more done. Second practice is to do what we call long-term planning. Problem, why people get stuck in overwhelm is they don't plan to get out of it. I'll repeat it again for the hard of hearing. If you don't plan to get out of overwhelm, you probably won't get out of it. The way to get out of overwhelm is to think longer term, where you're going to be in 5 years, where you're going to be in 3 years, where you're going to be in 1 year. It's a little difficult, I acknowledge, but if you are willing to step into that and do the work to create a longer term vision for yourself, you're more likely to get out of overwhelm. It's very simple in logic why this is so. If you have a longer term plan, if you're looking out towards the year instead of the next day or next week, you're more likely to spread things out more realistically. You're more likely to have a plan that works for you instead of against you. What most people do is plan out the next week at best, or the next day, which is not that great. If you plan out the next year, you can realistically look at where you can focus on certain projects and delay other projects. And that's more realistic. It'll reduce your stress, and it'll increase your focus, have you be a happier and joyful salesperson who will probably attract better clients. So those are the 2 primary practices. There's a bonus practice I want to give to you because some of you reached out to me and asked me this question. What if I have too many things on my to-do list right now and I keep feel like failing in my to-do list? Well, there's something we call the triage process. And there are 4 steps to this. First, you want to list out all the things you feel you have to do. Create an exhaustive list. Second, sort this list based on higher priorities to lower priorities. Do your best to that. Some of it may be guesswork, but guess at it and decide which are higher priorities and which are lower priorities. Then identify which priorities you're going to work on this week or this month. Try to limit them to 4. And then schedule times to work on these higher priorities for the next month and put some accountability for them. Have someone hold you to account to getting them done on a daily basis, preferably, so that there's a greater chance that you'll hit the fulfillment of these projects. Now, with this simple plan, you can eradicate your to-do list in 2 weeks or less. The people who complain that they never do this are the people who don't take the steps. You got to be committed to doing this. You got to see how great your future is going to look like if you take on this short-term set of practices. Okay. The number one foundation to build for greater enthusiasm, power, and productivity in a business is to do what I call top-down design. The reason why some of you are feeling discombobulated from time to time is because you're not looking at your life from a top-down kind of way. You want to start by looking at your vision. What is your vision for the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 15 years? I have a vision for the next 100 years that supersedes my life. It includes my nephews, grandchildren, what they're going to be doing, what kind of world they're going to be living into. Now, you don't have to go that far. But if you create a vision for the next 5 years, next 1 year at least, then you're going to have a more anchoring, centering set of objectives. And you're going to have a clearer idea of what strategies, the second part of this top-down design, that you want to focus on based on your vision. So it starts with the vision. Then you create strategies. Based on that strategies, you create long-term plans, systems, and you work with your team if you have one, or you start building a team based on these strategies and vision. So, to recap a little bit here, you want to start with your vision. Based on your vision, start creating your strategies. Based on your vision and strategies, start creating your long-term plans, systems, and team. What kind of plans and goals and systems and teams or the makeup of your team will look like in the next 5 years or 10 years. And then based on that, start creating a short-term plan for the next year or the next 6 months. What are your objectives? What kind of systems you should have in place? And what kind of teams you should have to start supporting it. Even those of you who don't have teams right now, I was in that position. I didn't think I could have a team, but I tell you, within a few months, I realized I needed a team. I needed some people to support me, even if it was, just a small team or a few people. I needed to have that. So the last part here, I've talked about this, is really none of this makes sense unless you're willing to do committed action. And committed action, a lot of people, again, talk about what it means to be committed. Well, they talk about committed, but they don't talk about what it means really to be truly committed. And I'm going to talk about that here pretty soon. But the benefits of top-down design is that your stress will go down really fast. In fact, in our programs, typically within 1 to 3 months, people's stress levels go from about a level 8 to 10 down to as low as a level 2 or 3. And when the stress goes down, your ability to focus goes up, which means your overwhelm typically goes down. Results go up. Your teams, if you have a team, start to relax, because if you're not relaxed, your team can't relax. The ability to retain your team, keep your team on, increases because people are less stressed out, and you have more time, more free time, more money, and way less stress. But again, you got to be committed to this. And the key to being committed is when you start taking on the practices of putting on more oxygen on the future than on the past. Most people throughout their days, what they do is they tend to dwell in the past. Oh, I did this wrong. Oh, I did that wrong. I'm not sure how to do this. I'm stuck. And they stay stuck. Instead of looking to the future and asking different questions, the questions you could ask is, okay, I've got this problem, but based on where I want to go in the future, what are my options for actions now based in the future that I can start pursuing that will help me fulfill the future rather than just dwell in the past? Now, that might seem very simplistic, but it's not. When you start applying it and dealing with it on a daily basis, you become more skilled in being a future-oriented entrepreneur rather than a past-based one. So life starts getting to be a lot more fun, I promise you, when you do this. And these are, those of you on the computer, you'll see pictures of my clients. These are smiling pictures. And I mean, the truth is, a lot of them look like this when I see them. It's not put on. These are how people look like, these clients look like for the most part when I talk to them on Skype or when I see them face to face. Um, and when you want to create long-term joy, you have to be willing to put in the systems, the short-term suffering, in order to make it happen. And then short-term suffering is usually not as bad as long-term suffering. What most people settle for when they do long-term suffering is they have short spurts of joy here and there that kind of compensate for it. But you got to be willing to move to being committed in order to have long-term joy. You got to commit in the short term. So making the decision to lead a better life and have a better business is the most important and powerful step to take today. Truthfully, it's the decision I made at one point when my coach told me, it's going to cost me $1,000 a month to work with him, but I really wanted to work with him. But that's the most important decision to make. And I hope you really take this to heart, because this is not for everybody. Not all of you are going to be decisive. Some of you are going to continue to be in long-term suffering. Some of you will decide to move out of it. And that's okay. However you decide, it's not up to me. It's your choice. But I would invite you to make a decision. So I don't know how, and I don't know why all of you showed up today, but I know some of you at least are tired of trying different marketing tactics without a clear vision, and you wish to get out of that mode. You're tired of being overwhelmed and feeling stuck. You want to get out of that mode. You want to feel clear and confident about the steps you're taking daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly towards the fulfillment of your dreams and ambitions for yourself, your family, and your community. And I know deep down in your heart, you know that you have the capability, the ability to get things done and make things move. And all that may be missing is a solid, customized plan that's realistic for you, that you can own, and with a sensitive and realistic dialogue partner or coach to guide your way to success. And, it is your time for success in your way, in your style, with the results that you want. And the obvious question is, how do I make all this happen so I can get things up and running? Well, there are two options. Like I said, there's long-term suffering, which I talked about, and long-term joy. My invitation to you is to move towards the long-term joy. And so what you need in your system, you want to create a system that works for you. And in the system, you gotta be clear what you need. What are your objectives? Where you want to be? You don't know where you're gonna go, it starts falling apart. You wanna have a system that's customized to your circumstances, your personality, the timelines that you have, to your target market and your desired levels of goals. And you want to be able to define the game, the score that you desire, how you're going to measure the game, and what is a winning score for you, with a plan to get over hurdles. And this is important. If you don't have a plan to get over the hurdles, then the last thing you want to do is start planning when you hit a breakdown. You want to plan for how you're going to get past the avoidable breakdowns. If you don't do that, you're going to be stuck in overwhelm. So what I'm going to invite you to look at is the gap. The gap is the space between where you want to be in the future and where you are now. And sometimes for some of you, the biggest gap could be due to fear. The fear of, whether you can trust yourself, whether you want to spend the money, it's too much money, or it's too little money, or you don't have enough time, or I don't have enough time, I can't do this, how can I do this? But at the same time, you really want to go for something new. And this may be a familiar place that stops you. It stops a lot of people, stops most people in their tracks. Like I said, a program is not for everybody. But if you're willing to get past that fear and make something happen, then the only way past that familiar place is to take decisive action. And Bill and I are really committed that you close this gap as soon as possible for yourself, because it's not a very pleasant place to be in. Our VIP program or academy program that we have, in this program, it's not for everybody, like I said, but the integrity of your business and your chances of success is really a function of how much urgency you're willing to generate right now. And by urgency, I don't mean emergency. I don't mean anxiety. I mean, you must be willing to invest time, money, and energy to reap the rewards and handle the breakdowns. Gotta be willing to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be marching in step. And our approach is very unlike a lot of other marketing strategic programs out there. And I want to invite you to listen to you because I know some of you have been getting a lot of questions, and we're going to get into Q&A here very soon. But a lot of you are asking questions which can be answered in the following ways. It really takes some commitment to do this, but we want to make sure you're rewarded for the commitment. And what we do with our students is if you do the work that we give you, and you build your branding and you build your systems right, then we want to introduce you, if you're successful as a student, applying all the work we give to you, and we want to expose you and introduce you to our market, to our audience, and give you a chance to build your own database like that as well. So we're very unlike a lot of other programs in that sense. We're also unlike other programs because we do not work with everyone. We have a very small program. We like to keep it small because we select the best and the most deserving to work with. And the most deserving are people who demonstrate clearly that they're committed, excited to work with us, they want to do this. And so, we are limiting this. We're pretty happy with the people we have right now in our program, but we have less than 5 spots available right now. And I'm not saying that just to say that and have you feel pressure, and it's just the truth. Less than 5 spots. And it could be you who are interested. If you're interested in having that spot, it's got your name on it. The program starts March 15th. We're not going to do this program ever again. You're going to get a discount if you follow some of the instructions here. The first step is to apply for a free strategy session with us. And if you come to the session and we see if it makes sense, and I assure you, the strategy session is all about you. It's not about the program. We want to make sure that this makes sense for you before we allow you to apply for the actual program itself. But for now, you want to apply for the free strategy session. How you apply for it is you go to www.yourvipss.com. You want to do this as soon as possible because my schedule is filling up. It's filled up entirely this week. Next week I think it has about 1 or 2 slots. Is that soon? Yeah. 1 or 2 slots available. And the following week, we have a few more slots available. So you want to apply for this as soon as possible if you're interested and intrigued about doing this, and you feel like you have the integrity, you want to really fill in the integrity in your business, and you want to get to the next level, then the starting point is to apply for the free strategy session. You go to yourvipss.com to get that session. Couple more things about the session. This is your opportunity to take action and turn the business around decisively. But during the session, we address your biggest challenges and roadblocks, and we come up with a 1-year plan for you. And the benefit is to clarify your vision, plan, strategy, and skills required to get you to where you need to be. It's totally complimentary. We want to be fair to you. There's no charge for the session or to apply. But there are limited set spaces, as you can surmise. A lot of people are interested in working with us. There's no pressure to buy anything. The intention is to get clarity first. Very relaxed on the meeting. It's all about serving you first. And then if you're interested in the program, it still makes sense, then we'll talk about it. So again, you want to go to yourvipss.com. And again, we're starting the program very soon, March 15th. We are going to take probably less than 5. We may even stop at 3 or 2. So you want to apply as soon as possible for the free session. And we can talk about your strategy and what you need. Okay. Wow, I got a lot of questions here. I will do my best to get to all of them. If I don't answer all of them by the end of the session, I will email you. Those of you who email me, I will get to you, okay? And if you have more questions, feel free to enter into the Q&A box if you're on the computer right now. All right. First question, what is the cost of your VIP Academy? It's a 1-year program, and the cost, I tell you what, I'm not going to reveal the cost on this, but I will reveal it on the strategy session. If you come to this round, there is a discount for people who want to move pretty quickly on it. And we can discuss that, but I promise you it's a very reasonable, very affordable cost for most people, okay? The strategy session, is this on the phone and how long? It's 1 hour is what we schedule for the call. For some of you, it may be 15 or 20 minutes, depending on what you need. And when you apply for it, we'll be able to tell you how much time it will take. Next question here. My husband needs to do this as well. Do you take couples in your program? Yes, we do. We work with actually quite a number of husband and wife couples, and you can come on the phone calls with us and all that. It's perfect time to come together on the phone. I'm a medical doctor. Thank you for your brain science. It makes complete sense. I'm shifting to a new industry and a new business. Is this it's selling a service and a product combination. Can you help me with this? Yeah, we can certainly help you. That's a pretty common thing. We've worked with medical professionals in the past who are moving into a combination of a service and a product. Happy to talk to you about it. Again, make sure you fill out your strategy session form at yourvipss.com. Do you work with coaches or healers? Yes, we do. We have a fair number of those in our program as well. We have a very good mix of very technical people, people with very large businesses down to solopreneurs. And we have a couple of coaches and healers, so we do work with them as well. Do you apply the rule of 4 to the year and month as well? Yes, we do. I think I understand your question. Yes, you can have the rule of 4, so a maximum of 4 objectives for the year and for the month. In fact, when we work with people, we start looking at how, on a daily basis, mind you, how your daily goals can add up to your yearly goals. And this is very powerful. When you start seeing how what you're doing every day is adding up to your year, then you start getting rid of all the stuff you don't have to do that are not going to add up to anything. It gets rid of a lot of their overwhelm fairly quickly. And your stress levels start going down as well. So yes, that's a good question. Thank you. I have 18 goals for the year. So you can imagine my stress. How can you help me cut down the goals? Yeah, that's pretty normal. That happens for quite a number of people. It doesn't mean you're going to get rid of all the goals. You're going to identify the 4 top ones so you can focus on them. And, and you may keep a few more if you have a large enough team. But if it's just you, then we probably need to do some good work in cutting down those goals, and I can help you do that. Again, get on the strategy session, and we'll work on getting that clear for you. Okay. And sometimes we can clarify that in about 20 minutes. It just depends on the complexity. Most times we can. It's a pretty fast conversation to do that. I like having fast conversation and move people forward, but it doesn't happen all the time, but it certainly happens quite a number of times. I've been running a business for 10 years now. I feel alone in my business, and I have a lot of issues and things on the to-do list. I like your triage. Can you re-explain the triage? I tell you what, I'm not going to do that just in the interest of time, but I'll tell you this much. If you're feeling alone, that may be the source of the issue. When I hear 10 years and you're feeling alone in the business, I think there's a bigger issue that you need to address, which may have to do with your vision or may have to do with your team strategy. So we probably want to address that first, even before the triage. And I can help you with the triage as well and answer that question. Make sure you fill out the strategy form, and so we can spend that time and get you a better answer. Okay. The joy has gone out of the business for me. Too much work and struggle. Money is good, but can you help me recreate my vision? Yeah, we can probably do that on the call, and at least give you a starting point. A lot of the times when I hear stuff like that, the joy has gone out. What I tend to look at is either the challenge is too high for you or it's not high enough. And so we want to either increase the challenge or lower it. So I'll have to get more details in order to understand that. But for some of you, your challenge levels may be too high. You may need to reduce it and increase your skill level. Learn more about how your business could work better. On the other side of it, if your challenge level is too low, then you may be bored. And sometimes boredom can lead to lack of joy. It's sometimes the worst problem for a lot of business owners. So you want to increase the challenge in that case. And we can look at how we can increase the challenge in a good way by maybe increasing your vision. And maybe there's a bigger vision that you have to go after. I'm a perfectionist and I keep getting stuck in trying to get things perfect. How can you help? Yeah, that's a very good question. A lot of people are stuck with trying to get somewhere, trying to find an immediate answer or the perfect answer. And I understand how that can get stuck. what you want to start focusing on is really two things. One is increasing your vision, because if you get clear on the vision and clear on the priorities, then the perfectionism tends to go away. The other thing is to also start enjoying the process. I know I talk a lot about objectives and results, but we also train people to enjoy the process, and there's certain tools and practices you can use to do that. See, it sounds weird, but um, I actually enjoy the challenge of working through certain problems, even when there's anxiety goes up a little bit. But for the most part, anxiety for me is a very short-term thing. I usually get past it pretty well. And then the next stage is curiosity. How can I create a breakthrough out of this problem or issue? And having that attitude has really helped me quite a lot. So when it comes to perfectionism, sometimes we got to step outside and look at, okay, what's the bigger vision here? How can I enjoy this process a lot more without getting stuck in the perfectionism that doesn't lead to much results? So you don't want to abandon your perfectionism, because a part of it may be really good, because may have to do with really having high integrity and making sure you deliver really good stuff. But you want to stop there. You don't want to go to the point where you're just trying to look good or impress people, etc. There's some distinctions that I can help you with there for sure. Is a strategy session free? And how much detail do you need in the application? Yes, it is free. There's no charge to apply. And you want to put in the details that I asked for, especially when it comes to your objectives. You want to give me clear dollar number objectives, numbers or observable, verifiable events. Like, okay, you want to have a system in place that converts clients. Okay, well, that's fairly observable or measurable. You want to have dollar numbers for your income that you desire, the size of your team, the number of people you want on your database. You want to give me those kind of details. Then you also want to indicate why this is important very clearly. Why is it so important for you? What's the big deal of getting to these results? What's so important about these results? You got to tell me that. You got to sell the idea to me, because Bill and I can create a lot of results, but we want to do it with people who are motivated to get to something. And we are inspired by what people are inspired by. So, you want to include some of that. You want to try to inspire us as well. And this is important to understand. If you want to learn how to sell and market, you got to learn how to inspire and inspire the people that work with you as well. So, you want to make sure you add in a little bit of details of why this is important for you. And then put details on your challenges. Why is time management a challenge for you? Don't just put time management. Try to outline the things that you do right now, your practices. Try to outline what the lack of results are, how these lack of practices are impacting you, in terms of money or in terms of income or in terms of satisfaction. Give us more details, especially in those areas, and that would be good. Okay. You mentioned you offer a discount at a VIP. I'm not sure what the question is here. Yeah, but yes, we do. So if you come to the VIP session, we'll offer you a discount for the VIP program for the year, and we also do payments. Just FYI. But we only do payments with people. You got to demonstrate that you're really excited about doing the program. You're not excited about the program. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. I have a great degree of guilt inherited from my parents. Interesting choice of words. A great deal of guilt, which tends to have me work harder and work more. Do you have any tips? Yeah, I understand that. I've been there in the past as well. And what you want to do is start looking at creating a future or a mission statement that's bigger than your guilt. Because when you have a big goal, you won't have time for your guilt. When you're up to creating a much bigger goal that's bigger than you, that's stretching you, that's challenging you, believe me, you won't have time for guilt or frustration or resignation or anger or any of the other things that tend to derail people. And you will probably work. You may work even harder, but you will actually enjoy your work. And the quality of work is really what I'm more interested in. rather than the quantity. I work very hard when I work very hard. I work in a very focused manner. I'm rarely stressed. Sometimes I am, but it's very rare. Usually work in a very focused manner, but I work very hard in that time frame. And that's the kind of attitude you want to take, when it comes to addressing guilt. Do you have a payment program for VIP? Yeah, I just said I did. Yeah, and I'm not sure what this means. Dollar back? You may have to email me again. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Um, hmm. Yeah, but we do have payment program. I think you understand. Oh, can you? Oh, I think you mean a money back guarantee. Yes, we do have a money back guarantee for the first month, for the first 30 days. For those of you, who that we admit into the program that we feel good about, because we want to make sure you feel good about it as well, and that we feel good about it as well. Is there a mastermind aspect in the VIP? Yes, we do, and we have a pretty good mix of current clients, and everyone from solopreneurs to people who have a lot more experience in business. And on the group calls, which we do over the year for the VIP program, people have an opportunity to learn from others as well, and we encourage that. Can you give more details on your VIP 1-year program? Well, the truth is, I'll give more details on the strategy session, but in essence, there are a couple of things that you get a lot of interaction with us in the 1-year program. There are 2 one-on-one calls every month with me personally. You get 4 group coaching calls per month, about one every week, unless you have a 5-week month. You can do short phone calls with us if they're less than 10 minutes. And you have daily email exchanges with us to help you stay on track. It's a very powerful program. There's nothing like it on the surface of the planet, I assure you. Not for the cost, not for the kind of results we're committed to helping you produce. There are no guarantees for this, but if you do the work, there's a good chance you're going to get the results you're looking for. The first thing to do is apply in a strategy session. Let's see if you're a good match, and then I'll give you more details. I hope that's sufficient for now. I have a fear of commitment, and I recognize that this has stopped me, like you said. Any advice on how to approach this? The greatest advice I can give you is what my coach gave me in 1991. He said, look to the future. Have your future. Be more committed to the future rather than your fears in the short term. Look to the long term of what you could provide for yourself, what you can generate for yourself. Then compare that to the fears that you have right now. It's not so much the fear, but the willingness to go past the fear. In order to have the compelling enough future, get past the fear of commitment. You got to be willing to look at, is the future worth living into? If you have a future that's worth living into, create it, make it happen, and then take decisive action. Decisive could mean yes or no. The worst place to be in is on the fence. When you're on the fence, you actually have greater risk, because every minute, every hour, every day that goes by is money that you could be putting into your pocket and more satisfaction and joy you could be creating in the near future. The longer you delay, the longer, in fact, the exponentially longer you'll have to wait to produce results. So, what I encourage people to do is decide yes or no. Don't, sitting on the fence. You can sit on the fence if you choose to. It's your choice, but there are certainly great costs to that. So my invitation is to decide yes. What have you got to lose? You got 1 hour, you got 10 minutes, 15 minutes to fill out the form, put some detail into it. That's your investment. And the rest is up to me and Bill. And if you decide to do the program, there's a cost to it. It's 1 year, the things you'll have to do. But you got to look at the next 5 years, next 10 years. What do you want it to be? For many people, that 1 year was a watershed year for them in doing a program with us. It was the starting point of creating more breakthroughs for them. And so, the decision is yours, but my invitation is to make the decision. Okay, last question here. When do you start the VIP program? It starts March 15th. The other question is, will we get your time or will another person be coaching us? No, you'll be working with Bill and me one-on-one on the calls, actually one-on-one with me and also with Bill and me on the group coaching calls and with the daily emails. You have a lot of access to us. So, this is the last time we're going to do this program. If you feel like you're the right person for this program, make sure you fill out yourvipss.com, the form there, and apply. So all the questions I have right now, I actually got through them. So that's what we have right now. Make sure you apply as soon as possible. We only have 5 maximum spots we're going to take for the program. To get into the program, you have to apply to the session first. Make sure you apply. Make sure you put in the integrity in your application. The application is at yourvipss.com. We'll see you pretty soon. There'll be 4 other webinars we'll be announcing pretty soon. But we want to see you on the strategy session, so make sure you apply there. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.